Hello and welcome to this episode of Bloodhound Pix, where I am one of your hosts, Craig.
I'm Kyle.
And Josh.
And this episode we are doing a screener spotlight for the vampire film Jacob's Wife, starring Barbara Crampton and Larry Fessenden, and directed by Travis Stevens, who also did this is his second feature. His first was Girl on the Third Floor. So I'll say, Josh, you want to take us off with what the synopsis is, because you are a huge Barbara Crampton fan.
Yeah, sure. So, it's Barbara Crampton is the titular wife of Jakob, who's Larry Fessenden. He's a minister in this small town. I don't even know where it's at. Doesn't really matter. But the character that Barbara Crampton plays, she's kind of this meek, mild-mannered woman in this relationship with her husband, who's kind of a douche to her and doesn't really let her do anything or talk or blah, blah, blah. And there's a random vampire that lives in this small town somehow, and has gone unnoticed for who knows how long. But, that aside, the random vampire turns Barbara Crampton into one, and then everything's great for her until she realizes that, no, being a vampire is bad, and, we're going to go from there. Craig, you mentioned this is, what's his name, Travis Stevens, right?
Yes.
This is his second movie, which, I saw Girl on the Third Floor. I actually thought this film was better. I think it's just more of the acting in it. Because regardless of anything else, Barbara Crampton is really good. So is Larry Fessenden. And then Robert Rusler shows up for, unfortunately, not nearly enough time. And he's always good, no matter what he's doing. Even in a really minor role. In this movie, he was amazing. So, as I said before, that alone kind of ups this one a little bit for the gratuitous Robert Rusler performance. But as I also said, that from a story standpoint, there's not really anything in this that you can't see coming a mile away. Obviously, the marriage between Barbara Crampton and Larry Fessenden is not good. She's like this frustrated, like I said, mild-mannered female who is always kind of talked over and not necessarily put in her place, but I guess that's not too far off. Until she becomes a vampire, and then everything is amazing. I feel like even in describing this, you can kind of just pretty much guess how things move along. But yeah, the acting was really good. You can tell that both leads were having a really good time with this, which helps for sure, because it might have been almost unbearable had it been, two lesser known or two people that clearly were just like, eh.
Yeah, well, it probably helped too, because they've worked together, for many years now, I think.
Yeah,
right.
They're both just experienced enough to carry that stuff off.
Yeah. And no, but yeah, I agree with you. That does play out as you kind of expect. I almost, again, the leads are great. But as we were kind of talking about this off air, there are a lot of points that feel like filler, where you could just cut. Or, I don't know, I guess I expected it to be more fun in a way, because you have this whole element of, here's this minister trying to now protect his wife and, take the matters into his own hands and all this stuff, and here she is killing. But obviously, spoiler alert, she kills, I will confirm, at least one innocent person. But yeah, it's just, you don't get more of that. I was kind of going in, and that might just be on me and how the trailer presented it too. But it was going to be more of this dark comedy about, now here's this man of God who is doing these horrible things to protect his wife, basically. And there's an element of that, but it just kind of, I don't know, there is just so much filler, and I'm sure it's like a 60-minute story in a 98-minute movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, 98 minutes is too long. It could have been at the longest 88 minutes, and you wouldn't have lost anything. In fact, it probably would have made it better. Which is unfortunate, but, I don't know. People tend to make shit too long, and this is no exception. One thing that I definitely overall I thought the film was fine. It just wasn't. It just went exactly how you would expect, which sounds like I'm being an asshole, but I'm not. And what I guess one thing that I really did not care for was the vampire makeup. I think it's good to, I guess, sort of make your vampire characters different than you would expect. And in this case, we had the buck-tooth fanged vampire makeup, which I just think is awful. And even when we get, so Bonnie Aarons is the lead or the head vampire. Yeah. And, you don't see the character until basically the end.
Yeah, it's like an hour in, I think.
Right. So it takes a while to even see, and I just thought it was is that makeup purposefully awful? Cause did it not look like she had paper mache or something just slapped on her face and then kind of gone over with a makeup brush, because it literally looked awful. And I'm I don't know why you keep showing her face in close up, because that looks terrible.
Yeah, it's supposed to be, so she's supposed to kind of have the look of Nosferatu or
right.
From Salem's
Lot.
And so it's the bald head, it's all of that. But yeah, it's really cracky, the head itself, and that's why instead of looking it's this vampire, I guess, who her body is drying up and deteriorating, it just looks, as Josh was saying, a bad makeup effect. Instead of, I guess whatever they were going for.
Yeah, it's
a decomposing body.
I don't know why you insist on showing her in close up with that shit on her face, because it's just really taking me out of it, and
it's not even hidden by. It's not like she's in the dark, darkness and hidden by shadows.
It's
fully clear.
Lit. Yeah.
But,
I also thought it was hilarious too. And again, this may have been more of a stylistic choice, but there's a part where the head vampire character kind of floats down from behind another character, and it looks so incredibly fake. I granted, okay, I'm not really complaining about it, but it was just holy shit, man. I think you should have done something different than that, but
I will give it that when there are kills that we see, because you never see any of the people that are just bit and transformed, I guess you never see that. You see only the kills itself. And those kills, they're pretty, they're fun. It's not like they're biting the neck and just sucking the blood. It's that they're ripping basically the person's throat out, and then the blood's just spraying in their face, and that's how they're drinking it. So it's fun in that sense, but yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like Army of Darkness geysers, which, perfect. That's great.
I mean, that's really all I have. I mean, I agree. It's one where you have really great actors that kind of make it better than it should be, but ultimately, no matter how good they are, it just kind of still ends up being in the middle of like, yeah, it's a fine movie. It has its moments, but yeah, that's about it to me.
Yeah, and the gratuitous Barbara Crampton dancing and rearranging her living room scene that, I mean, I think it was fine. The song choice was really awful, but, it's just shit like that where it's like, man, we get it. She's a fucking vampire. Yes.
Well, and the dancing goes for a while, too. It's not
right,
like you just see her dance. It's like almost the whole song, it feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more fun you could have had. Yeah. You could have done something where the audience was like, "Oh, that's fun. This is exciting." And instead, we're just like, "Oh, it's Barbara Crampton dancing with a lamp. That's okay." Is that the height of being a fucking vampire? It's like, look at me.
I don't know. Every time I've talked to any vampires, that's what they say. Just lamp dancing.
They're like, Craig, you have no idea how easy it is for me to rearrange my living room.
Yeah, that and holding couches with one hand.
Yeah. They're like, I don't need to call anybody in. I don't need to ask a friend to come over. Just do it all myself.
That's the good thing about being a vampire. Yeah. I'm not lonely.
Yeah. Well, that was our take on Jacob's wife. I'm not sure now, but at least by the time this episode airs, it will be on Shudder, I believe. Yeah. And if you watched it and you wanted to tell us your thoughts, feel free to comment, send us messages. If you agreed, disagreed, whatever it may be, and as always, if you have anything you would like to suggest for us to watch for our other portion of this podcast, send it our way, and we always love to hear from you. Thank you.
And if you are a vampire, let us know what you do for fun.
Bloodhound Pix podcast is part of the Morbidly Beautiful Podcast Network. Produced by Josh Lee, Craig Draheim, and Kyle Hintz. Music by Raymond Seed. Editing by Kyle Hintz.